Welcome to Green Tiger Legion USA. My name is Zach Montoya, President of Green Tiger Legion USA. We are a Second Amendment advocacy and general preparedness organization here in the state of Oregon. Today, we will be discussing Oregon Senate Bill 243, which went into effect September 26th, 2025. Let's go straight into it. So what does Oregon Senate Bill 243 aim to accomplish? Today, we'll be going over three key provisions of Senate Bill 243. First key provision. It bans rapid-fire devices. This bill prohibits the manufacture, possession, and transport of rapid-fire activator devices, such as, but not limited to, bump stocks, force reset triggers, super safeties, trigger cranks, and hellfire triggers, just to name a few. Second provision. It allows local gun-free zones. It authorizes city and county governments to ban concealed firearms from specific public buildings, such as city halls and county buildings, but also could extend out to the private sector as well. Third provision. It establishes a 72-hour waiting period between the time of a firearm purchase and the actual pickup of the gun itself. So let's go straight into the first key provision. So in regards to FRTs and bump stocks, we're going to have to go a little bit back further in history, but not too far back. May of 2025 to be exact, where Rare Breed beat the ATF and the Department of Justice in the misclassification of their device as a machine gun. Once it was finalized, the Second Amendment community celebrated, just like this. America, fuck yeah, but then shortly after this, you had progressive Democrats come in with their anti-gun talking points from what I call the West Coast Alliance, where you have Washington, now Oregon, and California, all with progressive Democrat governors. Fast forward to SB243 oral arguments in Salem, you had a Democrat by the name of Anthony Broadman, who, when referring to bump stocks and FRTs, said, and I quote, "machines of mass casualty." That's what he called bump stocks. That's what he called FRTs. And what did the Republicans do, the defenders of the Second Amendment here in the state of Oregon? Well, not much. In fact, you had representatives like Todd Nash come in, and I'll paraphrase his quote here, something along the lines of, well, since we don't have a zombie apocalypse, I can't really justify a reason for a bump stock. Really? Really, Todd? I hope you get unseated, because you are terrible at this. But that's okay. I'm going to help you out. Here's what you should have done, Todd, but you didn't. 1, your opponent was using interest balancing. Through Bruin, he can't do that. 2, the common use test through Heller. Now, all you had to do was take 5 minutes on your little cell phone here and Google this, but you didn't. So I'll do it for you. Rare Breed triggers alone. The company sold over 80,000 FRTs between December 2020 and January 2023 alone. That's one company selling FRTs. There are several companies that sell FRTs, super safeties, and bump stocks. And according to Heller, 200,000 stun guns were considered common use. There's well over that as far as these style of devices on the market that were sold. Third, you should have pressed them on the bump stock issue, because what they used was the example in Las Vegas. That was one example. You should have asked, where was an incident like that here in the state of Oregon? I'll wait. And last, for a bill that talks about suicide prevention and community safety, where in the history of this state has someone killed themselves with a bump stock or a force reset trigger? You need to press them on these issues, because they don't have any history. They don't have an example they can cite. But you didn't do that. You know, for a guy that has a cowboy hat, you're very much Old Town Road. And down here in Southern Oregon, we're very much try that in a small town. We defend our rights. And our rights are not up for negotiation, Todd. Anywho, moving on. So now, with the local gun-free zones, there's a reason why I mentioned in the intro here that this involved private sector as well. Because some people may have, read the bill and say, you know what, it doesn't talk about private sector at all. Where are you getting at? It's very simple. So if local government has the power to create gun-free zones, which they do under this bill, they can create large swaths of gun-free zones, making large swaths of soft targets, leaving them vulnerable, of course, to criminals and violent offenders and people that want to go loot stores and maybe beat up the owner, or worse yet, kill them. It creates that large vulnerability that's very dangerous, while also spitting in the face of the CHL holders within the state of Oregon. And this is where we need to flip the script. This is when we need to focus on constitutional carry in the state of Oregon. And we need to start advocating for that in the state of Oregon, because I'm tired of seeing people saying, please, government, can I put my handgun in my pants? Please, please, please. No, we have a constitutional right. The Second Amendment is an inalienable right that you have by being a citizen of the United States. And it's about time that people start to exercise their rights, fight for their rights, and secure their rights for this generation and the next. Because pretty soon, if you do it that way, the other way, the inverse, where you're saying, oh, please, 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 can I do this? Okay, I won't be in this zone. I won't be in this zone. Pretty soon there's going to be no zones left for you to conceal carry in. There's going to be nothing left. You're just not allowed to conceal carry anymore. They're just going to outlaw it. If you let the anti-gunners run the script, they're going to run you out of a Second Amendment. And that's really what it boils down to. Finally, the last part of this, one of the more dangerous parts actually, is the 72-hour waiting period on picking up your firearm after you've been approved already federally on the 4473. So let me give you a situation, a scenario that's very real. A woman has a stalker. That stalker is violent, has a history of beating them, and they won't stop stalking. Police reports have been made. Everything was done right in the eyes of law. But they persist, and they won't stop. They don't care about a restraining order. They don't care about any of this stuff. So that person, that woman's getting very nervous, and she decides to get a firearm to protect herself. Well, now she has to wait 72 hours. And in this time period, she could very easily lose her life. And there have been cases where a violent stalker has taken the life of their victim. This is not okay. This is something that this whole California cool-off period in Oregon is a problem. And it's going to create a lot of problems. And will they adjust it? Of course they won't. Because this state is ran by gun grabbers. They do not want you to have a Second Amendment. They do not want you to protect yourself. They want you to completely rely on the state itself. And where is the state in situations like that? Nowhere to be found. The police aren't there as your security guards. That's not their job. You are your own protection. And they want to take that away from you. They want to restrict you. And they ultimately want to leave you vulnerable to bad situations, dangerous situations, and situations that could ultimately take your life and keep you from your loved ones. So in conclusion here, just a reminder, this did go into effect September 26th, 2025. And what is the solution to all this? Well, first of all, just to add, the state of Oregon does not tell you how to dispose of FRTs, bump stocks. They do not tell you anything regarding that. Now, you could do, the quote responsible thing by maybe, destroying the device with sledgehammer or a small explosive device. Or there's a lot of boating accidents this time of year. I'm not going to tell you what to do on this. However, the solution to this is very simple. We already had a federal court case where we won this. Now, what that means is that if they're doing this on the state level, we can absolutely challenge this in the courts. And so that seems like the best legal path forward in regards to what's going on with SB 243. Moving forward to the second part, you've got concealed carry limitations here in the state of Oregon now. And the solution to this is really moving forward with nationwide constitutional carry. This is something that we should be advocating for. This is something that we need to get behind. I know there's already motions in place for this so that federally the license is issued. And the third point, going into the 72-hour hold for FFLs, this is something that's probably the most challenging part because they're putting pressure from the state in order to not give you your weapon, even though you've already passed your background check federally. And so this is where we need to definitely, fight, advocate, and overturn these unconstitutional gun laws. I mean, there's only so much. It's been gun control after gun control here in the state of Oregon ever since Tina Kotek has been in office. Ever since she took the helm of the state. And so we need to recognize that. And trust me, the FFLs do not want to deal with this. They do not want to have a 72-hour hold where they have to hold your weapon, store your weapon. That's why some of these FFLs themselves have decided to make a petition to remove Tina Kotek from her position. And so, moving forward into the future here, it's not over. This fight is just beginning. And we need to be hopeful. And we need to persevere. Do the good, the bad, and the ugly. And remember, it's not we the government, it's we the people. And we need to advocate. We need to challenge these unconstitutional laws here in the state of Oregon. But we also need to hold those responsible. Individuals like Todd Nash. Remember Old Town Road? Again, we need that, try that in a small town energy when it comes to gun control. When it comes to those trying to take away your rights. We need to hold those responsible like Tina Kotek that signed this into law. We need to hold responsible who this bill was sponsored by, which was Everytown for Gun Safety. We need to hold those anti-gunners responsible and tell them to quit violating our Second Amendment rights. What you can do. You can absolutely become a member here at Green Tiger Legion USA. We will drop some information in the description. We'll drop our email, which is greentigerlegion@gmail.com. Feel free to contact us. We'll get you started with the process of becoming a member. And that's how you can support the Second Amendment here in the state of Oregon. My name is Zach Montoya, President of Green Tiger Legion USA, signing out.